Season greetings, you guys. Welcome back to my channel. My name is Dee and this is the Optimistic Network. Today we are making Jamaican style potato pudding. Yes, potato pudding. I got a lot of requests for that. And here you go. Let me start by saying these are not the best potato to use to make authentic Jamaican potato pudding. These are the American potatoes. They call them yams sometimes, and they use them to make candied yams. The best potato for this pudding are the purple skin potato, or some people might call it red skin potato, the Jamaican style potato, or the Caribbean style potato. Those are the sweet potatoes that you use. However, my mom brought these to me and I didn't want to waste them. I knew they weren't the best potato because I know texture, and I know that the texture of this is totally different in the fact that it's thinner, and the potato taste, the sweet potato taste in these are not as strong as the ones that we get at home. However, I usually find the Jamaican style potatoes in the Asian store. So if you're looking for that, check the Asian stores. Now, the first thing you want to do is peel and grate your potatoes. Grating the potatoes is the old-fashioned way. I know, yeah, people blend them, but when you blend it, it gets too smooth, and potato pudding is not supposed to be so smooth. It's not supposed to be lumpy, but grating give you the best result. And as you see, I used all these potatoes because those are the amount that my mom brought, and I didn't want any going bad because they were starting to go bad. I mixed the potato with some cocoa, we call it. Some people call it taro. I don't know what you call it in your culture, but I showed you. That's what I mixed the potato with. Now, you feel free to just use potato because I've had it many times with just potato. Some people even mix it with yam. I have never done that. So after you grate your potato, like I said, the texture of this potato is thinner comparing to our authentic potato. But I wouldn't recommend you to use this potato. To be honest with you, I would not recommend you use this. I use them because I had them. But you can follow this same recipe and use the purple potato. And I promise you, I'll make another one soon before Christmas with the regular potato, with the right potatoes. To be honest with you, after I grated this, I didn't remember to measure it to see how many cups I got from it. But I'm going to say it was about 5 cups. If you're using the other potato with more texture and more volume, you don't need 5 cups. 3 or 4 cups is great for a potato pudding with the other ingredients. Now let's create our dry mixture. 2 cups of flour, 1 cup of fine cornmeal, yellow cornmeal, 2 tablespoons of cinnamon powder, a pinch of grounded allspice, just a pinch, we don't want a lot, a teaspoon of nutmeg, and some salt. I used some pink salt. Then you get your spatula and you just stir this together thoroughly to combine. Before we go any further, I want to remind you, if you're not subscribed to my channel, what are you waiting for? Go ahead and smash that subscribe button, turn your notification bells on, and get active in the comments. When you're done with your dry mixture, set that aside and let's do your wet mixture. We'll need 2 cans of coconut cream, 2 tablespoons of vanilla. You can even use 3. You want a lot of vanilla to flavor it up. Then we need a tip of rose and almond, and I would suggest you use just the amount that you see me using here because I didn't really measure it because I just eyeball it, because it's not a lot, because rose and almond is very strong and you don't want your pudding just taste just like rose and almond. You want your spices to mix good and come together and blend smoothly to give the pudding a great taste. Same thing for the almond essence. I used a little almond essence, just the little you see me using. I didn't measure it because almond essence is also strong, and again, you don't want anything manipulating the flavor from coming together perfectly and blending for you to get a good taste of everything without tasting anything in particular stronger than the other. I also melted 3/4 of a stick of butter. Then I added 1.5 cups of brown sugar. From here, I just get a spatula and I stir this until the sugar dissolves. I also added some pink salt to this. So you may notice I added salt to this and I added salt to the dry mixture. The reason I added salt to this is because I'm going to take some of this sauce out and put aside to make the top, to make the sauce on the top. So I wanted to add the salt. I didn't add too much to it because, like I said, I already add some salt to the dry mix. Now, if your milk is cold, my coconut milk was cold because it's cold time. No, it was not in the fridge, but everything is just so cold right now. So when you add your butter, even though you melted it, you're gonna notice the butter is gonna like quaddle back together a little. Don't worry about that. Once you put that in the oven, that is gonna melt. But from here, you're gonna combine your dry mixture with your wet mixture, and you can use a spatula. But I'm telling you, it's way easier to get your hand in there. That's what we do growing up. That's what we did growing up. Get your hand in there and use it to take out all the lumps. You'll notice me showing you the motion that I use. I just grab all the lumps. You can see them. They'll float up, but also you want to grab from the bottom, and every so often you rub your fingers on the bottom of the pot or whatever container you're mixing in to make sure you feel no lumps. And you can tell the lumps different from the butter. So you might ask, how am I going to know the lump from the butter? Trust me, you'll know. The lumps, which is going to be the flour and the cornmeal, will lump up. See, this is what I'm doing, just grabbing them in my hand and just kind of smooshing it, or however, whatever that is that I'm doing. Once all the lumps are gone, I grabbed my potatoes and my tanya or my cocoa or my taro, whatever you call it, the mixture, whatever I grated, I added them to it. And from here, you're gonna just use your hand to just spread it out. You're not gonna squish it like you was doing when you were looking for the lumps. Like just like you see me doing, just spread it out so all the flavors get in between the potatoes. Another thing I added was some soaked fruits. Now this is optional. I've been soaking these fruits for 2 years. I had them soaking in Crown apple for 2 years. So it was a little in the bottle, so I just dumped it in there and I mixed it up. Don't worry about them sinking to the bottom. They're not gonna sink to the bottom. Now while you're doing all this, make sure your oven is preheated. So preheat your oven at 355. Now we're gonna bake on 350, but every time I'm baking on whatever degree I'm baking on, I like to preheat my oven 5 to 10 degrees above that. So whenever you open it to add whatever you're adding to your oven, the temperature is gonna drop. So if you want to bake on 350 and you preheat on 355, by the time you open it to add the pans with the pudding, the temperature is going to drop at least 5 degrees. So if it's 355, it will drop to 350. So that's just a little tip for you. From here, you can sit these aside and grease your pan. Now, a lot of people like to grease it with a little butter and then dust it with a little flour. You can just grease it with butter. The butter and the flour, I don't find it necessary. But if you want, you can do that. Now, after you get done with your mixture, it's a great time to grease the pan, because this way your mixture get to sit a little to infuse all that flavors in the potato that we added last. So no rush to grease the pan ahead. You can put your mixture aside, put it down for a 10-15 minutes and grease your pan. Of course, greasing the pan is just going to take a minute, but like I'm saying, what I'm trying to say is you can sit your mixture down for a 10-15 minutes before you bake it. Bottom line. This part again is optional. I just use some green cherry because I had them sitting around. I use them to kind of just decorate on the top. So for one, I put the letter C and the next one L. So Christmas love. I don't know. That's so creative, D. But anyways, after this, put it in the oven to bake for 90 minutes. Take it out after 90 minutes and the mixture that we took out, pour some of that on the top. Put it back in the oven and broil on high for 6 minutes. As you notice, the pudding kind of drop as it baked, because remember we used raw potatoes. So as your potato cook, it shrinks. So don't put little in the pan. Be sure to put enough in the pan. I'm not saying to fill it up because you need a little space to the top, but put enough in there. Use your judgment and put enough. This is the finished product. Thank you for watching. See you in my next upload. Mwah.